Hey guys, this is Leon here. Today I want to share with you 3 profound meditation experiences that I've had that have transformed my life. And when I've had these meditation experiences, it did not come from extensive meditation training. But nevertheless, I definitely have felt the transformative effects, and that's why I really recommend meditation and mindfulness. The first thing I want to share with you is that I've had a psychotherapist that has told me that I have a naturally depressed brain. But I really wanted to challenge that notion when I've heard it. And I found out that through meditation practice, I've been able to develop a stable inner sense of calm and peacefulness. And even when I fall out of it, I've been able to recenter myself back into this practice. And I'm not just talking about meditation, but this ongoing sense of mindfulness practice that I have throughout the day. I certainly went through a lot of difficulties in the past, especially with negative thoughts and negative thought loops. The first meditation experience I want to share with you is about addressing those negative thought loops. I remember meditating in someone's apartment and my mind slowing down. So I saw that there's this current of negative thoughts in my mind that just move really fast. And as I slow it down, I could see one individual thought, and that negative thought, I could see that negative thought turn into an emotion. An honest way of turning into an emotion, there's a physiological reaction that happens in the body when the thought becomes an emotion, because emotion is something that is more embedded and felt within the body, and a thought's more like a concept. So I actually felt that process, which is really interesting to me because as a psychotherapist, I've studied cognitive behavioral therapy, and we're taught to help clients to find a link between thoughts, what's going on physiological in the body, and what's the resulting emotion. And it's really interesting to see that sequence actually take place within me. I saw this thought go by, and I saw it slow down and turn into an emotion through a physiological process. And when that thought becomes an emotion, it's a negative emotion. And that negative emotion starts to result into negative thoughts that I've had, which resulted into more negative emotions. So I saw my thoughts cascading from one into more thoughts, into more emotions, until I was in this spiral that led, then I could tell where my depression was coming from, is that I was stuck in that spiral within myself. And then I meditated on this feeling of responsibility. And when I did so, I noticed my body take up a new posture. It was a straight posture, but also relaxed as well. I felt this emotion where I felt more confident in myself, and that confidence led me to be able to navigate the uncertainty I was experiencing when I was stuck within that negative mind loop. And I slowly broke into pieces that mind loop to address things one step at a time, one practical step at a time. So I realized even though I'm living in uncertainty, I could trust myself. I could trust myself to be able to handle that uncertainty and be able to break it down. And another thing that I've learned from this meditation is that the physiological reaction that I experience is a clue. It's a cue for me to notice when I am mindlessly entering into this negative mind state. So it turns into something that I've taught my clients, is that if you find yourself mindlessly getting into these negative thought loops, the first thing to do is to notice what's happening in your body, because your body's going to have a negative physiological response when you're in that negative mind loop. And instead of being self-critical for having that response, look at that response with a sense of curiosity and tell yourself, I notice I'm having that response. Aha, I must be going through this negative mind loop right now. And when I'm talking about taking responsibility for my own thoughts, I don't mean I'm brushing those thoughts away and dismissing them. Taking responsibility for my own thoughts is, first of all, being mindfully aware that they're there, noticing it, acknowledging that my thoughts and emotions are there, and gently put them away. Or according to ACT therapy, what you do is you diffuse yourself from your thought. You realize that you are not your thoughts and emotions through this process of observing them. So that's the first really profound experience I've had with meditation. The next one I want to share with you was when I was undergoing a depression, and I realized when I was depressed, I was going through these negative thought loops that told me a lot of ought to thoughts. I ought to do this, I ought to do that, I should be this, I should be that, I could have done this, I could have done that. And I remember during that time, there's a compression that was forming around my head. And one specific experience I've had was I was in a New York City subway, and I felt this compression from having all this thoughts about what ought to be. I was stuck in these circles of thoughts. And I arrived at my final destination, Madison Square Garden, got out, I looked at the billboards outside, and I noticed there's all these advertisements. And my mind immediately judges advertisements. This is all this commercialism. I hate this commercialism. It's awful. And I got into more negative mind loops. But I realized what I need to do is just take a pause. So I took a pause, slowed everything down, just like that first meditation. The key thing is to slow everything down, because when we're getting into a negative thought loop, everything is a very fast automatic process. So slowing it down is bringing more consciousness to it so that it allows for change. So I slowed it down, and I looked at the billboards in a different way. So I saw this giant high heel shoe on a billboard, and I was just appreciating the shape of it, the shape of the shoe. And I was sitting down on concrete. I felt the concrete beneath me, and I felt it with my hands, just every bit of the concrete. And I was just relaxing and appreciating being there. And I saw people go by, and the judgment filter was not there. It doesn't matter how people looked. Everyone looked beautiful to me, beautiful before me. It doesn't matter how they looked on the outside or who they were on the inside. They were just beautiful to me to watch. And from that state, for a whole year, my mind shifted. So this idea of naturally depressed brain, that did not occur. I was just in a state of peace for a year, and my outer situation didn't change. The things that made me depressed, relationship, job-related stuff, did not change at all. What happened was that my internal state of mind changed. And I told myself, I realized that my depression was coming from this pressure to perform, going back to the thoughts I've had about what ought to be, what should be, how I should be. And I told myself, whether I succeed or not, how would I like to be? And I realized I want to be relaxed, accepting, and open, because I can't guarantee the results of my life. I can't guarantee that I will be successful, right? But I could guarantee how I would like to be in the moment. And from then on, I saw my life unfold. And I was not in this passive state when I was experiencing this inner peace. Rather, I was fairly active and productive. I thought about what I want to do, what I was inspired by. I worked on it, and I did so from a state of non-attachment. And from that state, my dreams just seemed to magically happen. And that did not when I was in a state of negative thought loops. I realized when I was in these negative thought loops, especially around how I should be in terms of success, for example, I actually got nowhere fast. But when I was in this open, relaxed state, things changed for me. And after that year, I did go back to the negative thought loops, but that that year really has taught me something different about how I could be on inside. The last one is short, but a beautiful experience. So I was living in New Jersey, and I wanted to go to this event in New York City. And it was a very cold day. Sitting on the train, when I got out of the train, super cold, but I was reciting mantra meditation. So despite how cold it was, I felt peace, and actually the cold became part of this beautiful experience when I was reciting mantra. I have ADD, so sometimes, I feel like mantra meditation is the best kind of meditation for me, because there's a vibration, there's something that I could focus on. Anyway, when I got to the event, I got to the door, I realized the door is locked, and the event was actually on another day, not the day I arrived. So I spent over an hour getting to New York City. The event was not there, but I was relaxed. And when I got back on that train to New Jersey, I did not feel any annoyance or frustration. I was just reciting mantra, being in a state of bliss and peace. And I realized it's because I saw life as a continual experience. We tend to label our experiences in life like, I went to this event, it was a total waste of time, right? I saw life as this one continual experience. So nothing in life actually goes to waste. So long as I am in tune with my physical environment and my inner peace of mind, the whole entire trip was worth it because it's just a part of life. I've shared an article in the description box regarding my second meditation that I've shared today. It's called Seeing Beyond My Negative Thoughts. If you enjoy this video, click like and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you so much for watching.